for it.
Coming at you live from my home studio in beautiful La Puente, California. This is the All Dodgers podcast. I pushed that button. I didn't mean to push that button, but what's going on, Clint Nation? This is the show that's part of the Believe network of podcasts, and today we got to be talking about a Dodgers dub. They split the series in Atlanta. Yamamoto looks... ? He looks okay. He has all of his toes and he's alive, so he looks very, very good for the state of this starting pitching situation. We're going to dive a lot into the pitching situation. We got to talk about this series, look ahead to that Miami series, and a whole lot more, and of course the Glasnow situation. But yeah, that and a whole lot more on another edition of All Dodgers Live. Guys, I am Clint Pasillas. Find me as Real FRG on the social media machines. You see that guy at the kids table right there? That is Kevin Skinner. Following him on the X at Skinner7. Kevin, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, hit the notification bell if you want to know when we're going live, and sound off in the comments. What'd you guys think about this game, this series? Where are you at in your level of concern with the Dodgers? Let's say a 1 through 10 scale. Your level of concern with the Dodgers pitching in particular. Where are you guys at? Sound off. Kevin, what's going on, man? How you doing, bud? And where's you at on that scale?
Yeah, I don't want to get too much because I know we're going to talk a lot about it. It's up there. It's not like DEFCON, whichever the worst one is, but it's
DEFCON lots.
It's up there because we've reached kind of a point in the season where they really can't sustain anymore. And like for as many pitchers as they sign and for as much depth as this team always has, they can't sustain a single more, and honestly, they probably already have one too many. So
yeah,
it's up there, 1 to 10. I mean, it's like a 6. It's above average. Like there is some real worry there, but you get showings by Buehler yesterday, Yamamoto today, and that helps. You look at those two guys, Yamamoto, Commando. The Commando will work his way back. It takes time for that kind of stuff. Buehler walked the world, but limited damage.
I mean, that's kind of the story of both these last two starts. It felt like there was a lot of walks, a lot of nibbling, but limited the damage. That's what you want to do. You want to limit the damage. I see the comments going off. We'll get into those in a second, guys. I got to do a little bit of housekeeping. As you know, I got to tell you that BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for everything football. That's right. My Eagles are playing right now, and last I saw, Birds got the lead over the other Birds. But BetOnline has every stat, every matchup, even live odds and spreads while games are happening, like it's happening right now. If you think you know your stuff, you can get in on their $200,000 make contest. Pick 5 games against the spread every single week for your chance at weekly prizes and a share of $200K. If the game is over, when that game is over, head on over to their online casino. Get in on a game of blackjack, poker, unwind with over 150 slot games right at your fingertips. Head to the website today. Get in on the action. Bet online. The game starts here. And again, let's get back into this series. It's almost a tale of two different series because those first two games, as we react to this series, let's talk about the series before this game because there was a lot of good things from this game and they carried over from Sunday's ESPN game. But the first two games, Knack throws up a stinker. Flaherty throws up his worst start in Dodger blue, and hopefully that's his worst start and we never have to deal with a bad start again. And then, like you said, Buehler kind of figured some things out. He worked around some damage. Last 3 innings, or some potential damage, last 3 innings looked really, really good. Gave me that warm, fuzzy feeling again. And then Yamamoto today, like you were talking about, didn't quite have the command, didn't have the splitty early, minimal on that slider, but he found a way to mitigate damage, keep points off the board. And that's what you got to do. If you don't have your best stuff, aces find their way to keep the game right there or to keep the game close is what he did. And then, of course, the Dodgers bats explode all over the Atlanta bullpen, which you really, really love to see. But let's get into some of the comments. You seen anything spicy out there yet?
Bob Nightingale. Bob, my scare level is a 10, which is how many pitchers are on the IL. I actually think there's 11. So I don't even think... I think you're one short. Orlando says Yamamoto was super edgy. Ump was tight with the zone. Yeah, especially towards the lower half. He seemed to not really give that. That was very hitter-friendly lower part. So there was that. Bullpen was awesome from Los Doyers, I think. And then Matty Man said we seem to be scoring a lot. Yeah, we seem to be scoring in bunches. I don't like we score a lot, but it's in bunches.
You know what? I'm okay with the way they're scoring in bunches because it's not like, your Dodgers of old, whatever. This isn't your grandpappy's Dodgers of a couple of years ago or even earlier this season where the only way they score is on the homer.
Yeah.
An old friend of mine says if you want the dub, you got to slug, but also you got to do the things that put the ball in play. Shohei Ohtani, he hit the ball on the ground. Yep. You're seeing a different Shohei. We'll talk about Shohei in a second. Put the ball on the ground instead of striking out. Teoscar Hernandez, that really, really nice. Just poked a single through the hole towards second base. Got a run, got on base. And then, of course, set up the big 3-run homer for Freddie there in his return to Atlanta. Tommy Bombas, that's what I'm going with now. I know at one point there was Tommy Taters. They're trying to make Tommy Tanks happen. I'm calling it Tommy Bombas. I think
Tommy Bahambas.
Tommy Bahambas. Tommy.
Get it.
Listen, is there
wine shirts?
Is there a better underappreciated trade deadline acquisition? Can you find a better one than Tommy Bombas freaking Edman?
Yeah,
so
and
good.
it was one of those. It was so unfortunately I didn't get to do the trade deadline. What I thought were the biggest needs. I had the family thing, but my biggest needs into that trade deadline were they need a left-handed bat and they need a center fielder or a shortstop.
Yeah.
They found all three in one guy, which is spectacular because, people were talking about like Lou Bob at the time or Randy. And it's like, yeah, that's great. But like Lou Bob's right-handed and he plays center, and Randy's right-handed and he plays left. They didn't really answer the question. Tommy plays center. He bats left. Obviously he's switch hitting. He plays a good shortstop. Like that. Talk about checking all of the boxes. And it's very rare that you get a guy to check 2 boxes, let alone 3. So it was an A+ move. Didn't have to give up much for him either. So, love it all around.
Cole says you keep putting 5-6 relievers in a game and see what happens. They did it less. They did it less in these last 2 games. You're still having to go through 3 or 4.
Miggy and Kike last night.
But also tonight, Honeywell going through taking down 2 innings, looking good. Turtleneck looking strong. Honeywell, with the situation here, and again, we're going to talk a lot more starting pitching later on in the show. Share the show, by the way, guys. Let's get some more people in here. Let's talk about the Dodgers. We're here every Monday. Sometimes most of the time Kevin's not here on Monday, but it's a special Monday because we got to talk about, pitching. It's definitely a problem. Our guy Richie Flores in the chat, I think you might have read this one already, but it says his concern on Dodger pitching is lower than whale shit. So I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing.
I think it's a good thing, right? Because it's a low levels of concern. That's what I'm reading that as.
Going to Blue Heaven 27 says Showtime. You got Showtime Bombas. I'm going to keep throwing the Bombas in there. That's an important factor for me. But hey, let's talk about your guy Miguel Rojas, Miggy Ro with the wheels, turning back time, scores 3 runs in this game. I think it was 3, maybe it was 4. When I was counting, it was 3. He scored the first 3 runs, he stole third base, comes home on that, barely safe on that force play at home on that Shohei ground out that I was talking about earlier. And Miggy Ro, I said it on the last stream or the last whatever video, I think it was the last stream on Thursday. That's my secret weapon for this team. Miguel Rojas, if he can, he's hitting so much better now. Last week he was hitting 286, but he keeps finding ways to put barrel to bat and barrel to ball. And to bat too. That's just how good he is. But he, knowing what he's able to do, lower in the lower half of that lineup, that's something this team has not had in recent years. It's been a very, very top-heavy lineup. We know whether it be the Trey Turner era with Mookie behind him and Freddie and Seager and Mookie and all of this, having those guys down in the lineup that could make a difference, whether it be Tommy Bombas, whether it be Miguel Rojas, Gavin Lux when he's in there playing against righties. That's been fun. Even Will Smith down in the lineup, that's just a better spot for him right now. So it's a good lineup, and we talked about that in a video last week, that it's just this is offensively they're in a pretty good spot. They just need pitching to help them, kind of bridge that gap into making it a ball game later on in the postseason.
Yeah, and I think, you mentioned the top, like how top heavy the roster has been in the past. When you have guys that basically just kind of get away with the world because they're so talented, your Mookies, your Shoheis, your Freddys, you need the guys that will still do things kind of quote unquote the right way.
Yeah.
Like they'll kind of do the little things right no matter what. This isn't saying that Mookie doesn't or Shohei doesn't. I'm just saying that these guys aren't making mistakes. They're just playing sound, fundamental baseball, and that's what we're seeing from Miguel Rojas this year. Tommy Edmonds is doing it. It's a lot of singles, slapping the ball the other way, stealing third. I mean, that's turning back time. Talk about it, like that was huge. That was a massive play because then all of a sudden Max Fried, buries a bat. I don't know if it was a curve or a slider, but he buries one, and Miggy gets a good secondary lead. Got to talk about that too. Like, it's not just a steal from third; it's the good secondary lead that gets him home on that first run. So it's just good. It's good overall baseball. And now we'll talk about the pitching a little later, like we've been kind of hinting at. When the pitching is where it's at, it's even more important that you've got guys like that to play ball the right way, and you don't look at them and go, they're either a black hole offensively or defensively.
Yeah. You're at a point where you need to put more runs on the board to survive maybe a lack of starting pitching in the postseason. But I will set up what we're going to talk about later when it comes to starting pitching. I think maybe we're not in as bad of a situation as it really looks like. This team in the offseason put in a lot of work to get a bunch of pieces. Because we know how much starting pitching just ends up breaking, but let's get there when we get there. Right. More in the series, it wasn't all good. Of course, you're coming off 2 straight wins, but Jack Flaherty, I said it, had his worst start in Dodger Blue. It looks like he just really had nothing going well. Kind of helped in burning the bullpen right after Knack had his worst start of the year as well. In this series, you had this wild Tyler Glasnow saga that the news today. We'll get more in on later, but it feels like the Dodgers kind of set that whole headline up for failure, or Dave Roberts did, by not talking about, he said it was an excused absence, but I just put Gratterall in my notes. I liked Brusdar going a quick 1-2-3 after the Dodgers put up 9 in the ninth inning yesterday. Alfreisel is Iglesias, by the way. First time Iglesias had allowed runs in like 2 months or something like that.
Yeah, 32 in a third innings. Yeah, just put up a quick 5 spot on him. That was you love seeing that, because there's always like, oh, can you come back in the 9th inning? Sure. Can you come back in the 9th inning against like one of the better closers in baseball? Like that's. Yeah. Now we're talking. Like that's what you want to see. Can you do it against the Iglesiases? They got to, they broke Paul Sewald earlier in the year too. Yes. So it's stuff like that. Those are quality pitchers. I mean, they're all major leaguers, but some drive Benzes, some drive Bentleys, something like that.
They all drive nice cars, as Mookie says, and that's one of the things I did want to dive into a little bit more, in kind of what to like, the things you could take away from the series that you can really, really like. And I like that offense late. I don't think it's something that is brought up enough. In the second half, this team has really turned it around when it's come to, and I don't have the numbers in front of me, but visually, gut is telling me that they've turned it around when it comes to scoring late, putting up more points with 2 outs. Like you were saying earlier, doing a lot of the right things, the small things the right way, or however the hell you want to say it, but lots of runs late in the last 2 games and just doing a lot of the little things well, and that's the type of shit that wins you series in the postseason, maybe even wins you a World Series in November if you go to Game 7. So I really, really like that. That's what I like in this Atlanta series. And Atlanta, despite the fact that they're missing some key bats, it's still a formidable team, still a very good team with playoff aspirations. So you got to beat these guys.
Got to beat them. You're right too when you talk about that late offense. This team, we know the Dodgers mentality. It's work the starting pitcher. You got to get that pitch count up. They did a good, like Max Fried was cruising through the first couple innings, then in the 3rd or 4th inning his pitch count spiked up a little bit. You get him out of the game a little earlier, and then you get to the bullpen. Well, that plan's all well and good as long as you get to the bullpen and put up runs when you get to the bullpen. So when you start putting up late runs like this, that's where you see that kind of the whole plan come together. And that's what we like to see. It's not about just jumping out in front early. It's about working counts, getting starting pitchers out, taxing the bullpen for a series. And then when, you've seen a bullpen once or twice through, really just laying it on. And I think that's what we've seen a little bit. I think, there was that, there was a back and forth game with the Diamondbacks. We saw something very similar a couple weeks ago. Same situation. I think it was Gallen pitching that day, and you get him out in the fifth, and then you start going to town on the bullpen. That's what this team preaches, and they're starting to finally do it. And the one thing I like is this is basically coming off the heels of a disastrous injury news from Tyler Glasnow. So like they clearly didn't fold. I know all the Dave haters want to say Dave's lost the clubhouse. No, he hasn't. They're still just, this offense is still humming right along. So I like that they're doing it, and I like the spot in which they're doing it.
Absolutely. Dave losing the clubhouse. I love that people are going to always find a way to make it about Dave. I will say he could have handled the Glasnow news or situation 1,000 times better. He didn't need to say where he was going, but omitting the fact that we understand we told him he could leave. The fact that they didn't throw that out there as part of the initial thing, and Glasnow ditching reporters or whatever. It was not a good look, was not done well. I talked a lot about that earlier today with Alana Rizzo and Juan Toribio on Dodgers Territory. Check it out. Appreciate you for watching. My guy Noise by Noel, of course, the producer extraordinaire for my boy Doug McCain over at the old job. He says, what you know about my boy tapping in with some Rio's Pizza the other day? Best pizza in town. That's right. Rio's Pizza and El Monte sponsor your boy. We are hungry people here in beautiful La Puente, California. But appreciate you, Noel, tapping in for a second, hanging out with us. Denny Cortez says Glasnow in witness protection. I saw another one that said
abducted by aliens.
It's abducted by aliens. I saw another one that said he's the Homer meme where he's backing into the into the bushes right now. Somebody asked, I'm curious about this one. Let me find it real quick. Or did you see there it is, Francisco talking about, I think it was Francisco. Fuck. It got lost on me, but there it is. Lucas asking, do you think it's too early to start talking about a team-friendly deal for Buehler in 25? What if he simply figures out next year? I think they might try to bring him back. It might be on more of a qualifying offer situation. That's where I'm at on Buehler. I don't know if you feel otherwise, if Buehler's time is done. But
can you extend the QO? Because I think Teo's getting the QO.
You can have as many. As long as
it's
they're
not like
eligible.
the franchise tag in football. You can only give one out of here.
So both. So
maybe
eligible,
I think a Buehler contract's going to be a 1+1 situation. Maybe it's a mutual option, club option situation. I mean. Of course he deserves more opportunities. I mean, this is Walker effing Buehler. He's got the pedigree. This isn't just some dude who walked off came up off the street, had an arm injury, and then is pitching the major leagues. Like he's shown real production, and really, and maybe this is magnified because of the Bobby Miller situation. He's shown that he's got it between the years. That mentality is strong. He's shown he can overcome stuff. So I wouldn't hate them bringing him back. It's got to be the right deal. You're not throwing 25 mil at the guy.
It's proven this time too, or this year as well. You can never have enough starting pitching.
Exactly.
I hear my guy Tim Rogers saying it in my brain over and over. He can never have enough starting pitching, and this season once again proved that without a fucking doubt. That everybody died at some point this season.
I mean, I'd love kind of what they did with Kershaw for Buehler. I think Kershaw was like a $12 million contract with escalators after starts that could and then if he reached those escalators, it vested a $22 million option for next year. Something like that for Buehler. Hey, we'll give you one if you can hit 100 and some odd innings, keep your ERA around this spot. We'll give you performance incentives, stuff like that. Give him that kind of contract all day. And if it's a 1+1, no such thing as a bad 1 year deal.
Yeah.
If you're gonna tell me Walker Buehler's the next James Paxton in terms of like the role he'll serve, give it. Write that check right now.
Yeah, and
all
again,
day.
if it's only 17, 18 million, whatever it's going to be, 19, whatever the qualifying offer is going to be
Pitching
this
is
year.
expensive.
Huh?
It's expensive.
Yeah.
Pitching's expensive. If you can get a guy on a somewhat team-friendly deal that if nothing else, he can at least like pitch late into a game. Yeah, absolutely.
And I think Walker would be the type, and we'll talk more Walker in a little bit later in the show. By the way, guys, if you're enjoying anything that's going on so far, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you haven't done it already, we'd appreciate you for it. But I think Walker would like to pay it forward a little bit in knowing that this season has been a wash. It's not over yet. You know, all we have needed him to care about is the month of October and making 6 quality starts or better in the month of October. So he can still very much rewrite his script. We've seen lesser pitchers make a lot of money off of one good postseason. Shout out Derek Lowe. So he has that opportunity for sure. But we'll talk more. We'll talk more butane in a little bit. But I'm not done. I'm definitely not done on Walker. Denny Cortez says that she hit that like button. So we appreciate that from Jenny. From Denny, my bad. Josh Gett asking about Glasnow, or brings up Glasnow. My boy Josh says, I like Glasnow, but let's be honest, his career postseason ERA is 5.72. Good chance he was going to get lit up. So I mean, take that with also a grain of salt because he pitched a lot of the postseason with a torn UCL.
He also pitched against the Dodgers, who lit him up. And also, Corey Seager was bad at the postseason until he won World Series MVP twice. Fair. So I like every postseason's different. They just are. Like, yes, it can be a thing. Kershaw's had really good postseason outings too, and if he's not left in an inning too long, against the Cardinals, it's a whole different. It's like a different narrative. So the numbers are so exaggerated because it's so few starts. I know Kershaw's a little different because he has 100 and some odd innings now in the postseason, but when you have, I think Glasnow's only. Let me pull it up so I can have the exact number. When you have like so few opportunities, like one bad start is going to absolutely make this look different. So let me he's pitched. God, he has.
Well, you look it up for a second while I read.
6, 7, 8, 9. He has 11 starts and 45 and 2/3 innings. Like, that's not a lot of starts. It's not a lot of innings.
For some teams, that's a shit ton of starts for sure.
Sure, yeah, but like overall, over a career, that's not a lot for a guy. So yeah, of course he's gonna have a high ERA if he has like 1 or 2 bad starts.
So I want to shout out also Nick Ramos in the chat, being positive in the chat. Says currently done smashing that like button and said he's always gonna be ride or die with us. In so many words, I'm paraphrasing here, but always gonna be ride or die with us if we're on here on a post game edition of the show. Hopefully not just post game. I will say we got voicemails coming up in a second as well. We should probably do quickly some Dodgers news and notes because I did put it in the title of this video on YouTube, but we got to talk about Austin Barnes, and I was very creative with my wording here because he's done for the season with a second fracture in that same fractured left big toe where maybe they need to get your boy some better protection there. That's just really, really some bad luck for Austin Barnes.
Dodgers and toes lately, man.
Hey, man, they're into toe stuff, and sometimes you got to pay more for that. But Barnesy done for the season. They hope to get him back for the postseason, which I'm okay if they do, okay if they don't. I think Will Smith has turned it around enough since I started, I wouldn't say trashing him, but called into question his how terrible he had been in the second half. But they said entering the game, he was hitting like 295 over his last 12 games or something. And given the fact that he's hitting 6-7 in the lineup, not a problem with Will Smith. And for the most part, he's going to be starting every single game. And if it's Hunter Freducia as a backup or it's Austin Barnes with half a toe as the backup in the postseason, we're going to be okay. We will endure. We will survive. The other bit of news, unfortunately, Joe Kelly will be returning in this Miami series, and I kind of have a problem with that. But at the other side, on the flip coin of this, you do need all hands on deck if you don't have a full 4 in your starting rotation. So we'll see how that turns out. I don't even know. Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Like, how the hell do they fit all of these dudes in here? Because, like, I don't know that you can get rid of Honeywell this
I
time.
don't think so. I was literally about this. I don't think you can actually get rid of Honeywell.
It's
The
only other one would be where's it? Michael Grove. That's
Michael
Grove.
Yeah.
And I think I saw one of the Honestly Dodgers guys on Twitter ask that today. Who would you rather have, Joe Kelly or Michael Grove? As I think that's a really, really good question. Me?
Yep.
I mean, I think I said it on our Shohei Ohtani show over the weekend. I would rather have Shohei Ohtani in that situation. But as much as I've sent – and by the way, our Dodgers Territory producer today started making a list of how many people I've sent to the moon this season, and I'm like, oh shit, maybe I have a little bit of a problem. Alana pointed out in that text thread that I also said that Joe Kelly can F all the way off. I think I'm out on Joe Kelly, but that said, he has the experience, and I think that's got to play more than Grover in that, at least for this postseason. Agree, disagree? What do you think?
No, It's so
and
hard
also, hold on. What do you guys think in the comments as well? Which one of those dudes would you take?
Yeah. Andres Fonseca says shotgun Kelly will be clutch. Possibly. Monster says Honeywell will start game 4. Hopefully not. Denny Cortez, a turtleneck has to stay. I don't see how you can get rid of Honeywell because he's your long man at this point. You kind of have to keep him. Michael Grove's not a long man. Between the two, I can't quit Joe Kelly because his stuff is just so nasty. And he had that stretch in middle of July to August where as long as he was getting clean innings, he was doing totally fine. And yeah, he exploded because Clayton Kershaw exploded. So, and they needed him to go, 3 innings? Or they tried to stretch him to 3 innings, which you just kind of can't do. If you give him the right lane, he can get anybody out. And I love that upside. And to win a World Series, there's going to be a luck factor to it. There's nothing is certain. If there was, they would have figured out how to do it by now.
Yeah.
Part of the Dodgers potentially winning a World Series is, they might need Joe Kelly to just string together 4 good outings and just be clutch. I don't know. Because he's, in my opinion, more likely to do it than Grove will be. So.
That's fair. And one thing working in Grove's favor, even though it's not, as you were saying with Kelly, putting him in the right lanes, Grove's good lane is not multiple innings, but he can provide multiple innings if you need it. And again, if this team doesn't end up finding a 4th starter, if Kershaw's not available, which it does not seem like he's going to be ready, or if he is, he's not going to be built up much beyond 3 or 4 innings by that point, even if he's keeping his arm loose and froggy. You need somebody that could provide some innings. I mean, the postseason schedule, and I already put it in my calendar because that's the kind of freak I am. But the postseason schedule does, there's enough days off in there where I think this team can get creative. We'll talk again more starting rotation, postseason outlook, all that in just a few minutes. But to the question though, I think you got to go Joe Kelly, and maybe he gets lucky and can fire off. That's the funny thing. I saw a comment that said, he takes some 30 pitches to get 3 outs, but sometimes you can get like 6 outs from him in 6 pitches or whatever.
It's the Brewster situation. It's the Brewster situation. Brewster, there's just innings where he'll pitch 4, he'll throw 4 pitches and get 3 outs, and then sometimes it's like 27 pitches and it is all over the place, and there's a ton of traffic and he can't strike a guy out. So it's that, but. At this point, especially with Glasnow going down, there's going to have to be a little bit more fortune on the Dodgers side if they're going to make a deep postseason run. And in my opinion, Joe Kelly's going to kind of have to be part of that. Yeah. Just because, if I need to get, the 4, 5, 6 batters in the 6th inning out, I'll trust Joe Kelly more than I will Michael Grove. Yeah.
Again, he's somebody who's been there, done that. He got that. I mentioned Derek Lowe earlier. Nick said Dodgers legend Derek Lowe. Joe Kelly got that big contract with the Dodgers because of what he did to them in 2018. So it goes a long way. Monster on the chat says, and on the 4-string, I think it was his old name, says Kelly's ceiling is higher than Grove's. Yeah, without a doubt. And considering this might be Joe Kelly's final season, which I think he's kind of hinted at. you probably want to get JK99 in there, but still, in my opinion, he's kind of the last guy in the bullpen. Don't put him in big situations. Don't put him in with a whole bunch of runners on base. Start a clean inning in the 5th. I think he can handle that kind of stuff. Let's see. Victor says, or Kelly, to throw a pitch at somebody's ribs. Still too soon for most of us.
Yeah, God, that was brutal.
Grace,
or even if you get him in the 6th, it's a clean inning, but Yamamoto's pitch count's just way up, and you need him to get a batter or two. Give me Joe Kelly. He's got to get 2 batters. Yeah, it's still a clean inning, but it's the 6th inning, need 2 outs. Yeah, they got to find that lane though.
You also worry about him. There's already 2 on, and him coming in and walking your batter. That's one of those things you worry about. Yeah. I got 2 from Nando 390 here. I loved it. I laughed when I saw it pop up. It says Glasnow hanging out in Clint's garage. Well, he could. I have a futon in there. I'm trying to get rid of. Anybody wants a very shitty, uncomfortable futon. Well, it's one of those kinds like the arms. You can take the arms off, so you can just kind of hang off of it.
He's 6'8". He still might be too big for that.
His toes can hang off. His toes are fine. Grayson said, I will take experience over anything. And we're talking back to Joe Kelly conversation. When you've been there before, that speaks volumes. Big Game Joe will channel his inner 2018 self. And that's about where we're at. Oh, I said 2. Nando 390 dropping some facts here. And I don't know if it's true, but it says Derek Lowe is a professional golfer now. He said no joke. Look at us. I hear the clicky clacking of research right there.
I am Derek Lowe, Red Sox Hall of Fame. I don't see. What is the Instagram?
Just put in Derek Lowe golf ?
I mean, it just said he's been doing a lot of golfing lately. I don't know if he's on the tour or anything, but
well, tell him to come on by. We'll get him a free round. Let's see. Another good question from Grayson. We're going to pin that one. Make sure we don't forget that one, Kevin, because I got to do 2 things, too. I got to remind you guys, subscribe. I already told you that a few times. I want to make sure. Well, also, Diane's saying it. If you can do better, smash that like button. We're trying to get to, let's say, 7,000 million likes in this video, but we'll take 240 or something like that. It really helps us out in the algorithm. And also, if you're looking for a different way to support the show, support the channel, support independent Dodgers coverage, check us out on Patreon, patreon.com/realfrg. $5 a month. You help support the show. And you could also join us on Discord, where we have a lot of baseball conversations throughout the day, throughout the game, complain about things, talk about when we need to fire Dave Roberts. And I throw that in there because I see my friend Jeff in the chat as well, Locked on Dodgers. Make sure you guys make them one of your first listens every day, by the way. But Patreon is one way to support it. Again, less than the price of a Dodger dog, or you can click the join button somewhere around Kevin's head. $5 a month. You can afford that, right? Let's do the postseason. You want to talk to people in Discord, friends.
IB Strokin's handed out gift memberships right now. Thank you.
Let's go. Thank you, IB Strokin. I love you, my dude. Also, one of our fine people in Discord that we get to talk Dodger baseball with. If we're talking to friends here, and we're having a good time, we should probably, as we continue burying the lead of the Glasnow update and the pitching and all that, we're going to get there, but I'm sure our fine folks on the postgame overreactions hotline have some things to say, and we got a few calls in today. Roy called. Let's hear what Roy has to say. It's almost here. There it is.
So this is Roy, a.k.a. Going to Blue Heaven, 27. I think, man, that Glasnow news is definitely devastating. It's frustrating to see another pitcher go down with injury. We can just hope that the Dodgers can somehow piecemeal a starting rotation together, get us through some rounds of the playoffs. I mean, it kind of worked for the Rangers last year. They were able to kind of figure some things out. And so, just need the right guys to step up. And I was really hoping that whole Glasnow thing was just, ghost injury to keep him in bubble wrap, but I guess not. So we'll see how the playoff goes. I know usually doesn't really matter how the regular season goes. Once you get into the playoffs, anything can happen. So let's go Dodgers.
Appreciate Roy calling in. I like that last point. We're going to focus in on that last point because that's what we're just talking about as well with Walker Buehler. This is a what have you done for us lately league. I mean, everything. I guess every sport kind of is. But it doesn't matter what you did 2 starts ago. Last start, it's about what you do in this start, and especially when it's in October. So if Walker can rattle some of those best starts together and they piecemeal some things, you can feel pretty not as end of it's not raining hellfire and brimstone or whatever. I don't think it's as bad, but we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the pitching. 88th time that we've buried the lead when we're talking about starting pitching. But we have a few more calls. Let's listen to our friend Noah Ortega.
Well, what up, guys? It's Noah, as you know, and I got to say, there's hope. There's hope, guys. Yamamoto is an ace, and if someone told me that Walker Buehler had a better outing than Max Fried, I would say you're nuts. But nope, guys, there is hope. And we do have the offense. You saw that 9th inning, and you saw how at the time of this writing, or not writing, my bad, at the time of this voice, they are freaking destroying the Braves. Like, wow. In the first 2 games, we made them look like World Series contenders. Now they're making us look like World Series contenders. We are World Series contenders, guys. And let's be honest here. The best team never wins the World Series. So if anything, it's a good sign that we're not the best team, right?
That's the
Plus,
power of positive drinking.
It's baseball. It's a shit show. I said it. A shit show in October. So we can still win the World Series, and we will. Have a good night, guys.
There's more of the power of positive drinking. A couple more voicemails, but let's dive into that a little bit there. I had a comment I had to dive into because I was drinking from my water. Somebody said that I'm putting my whiskey in a thermos now. No, the booze is over here, but I'm only drinking for $5 super chat shots. That's what we're doing. I'm bringing it back for today's Monday show. If people want to see me drink, we still got some Jim Beam Double Oak twice barreled. She's getting lower because of these shows, but people seem to enjoy it when I get drunk on a stream for money. But back to voicemails. We got to listen to our boy Richard. Richard has some things to say, as you know. So let's listen to Richie in Devore.
Well, hey, Clint. Happy Monday. Well, not really. My wife always accused me of being a really bad lover. That's why she put mirrors on the ceiling, because every time we do it, she says she likes to watch herself laugh. But that's a whole nother conversation. So let's talk about yesterday, shall we? Ferris fucking Buehler showed me a lot yesterday. He could have easily have folded like a deck of cards again, but basically he battled back. I think Ferris got sick and tired of being sick and tired, and he dug deep, and he showed me a lot. It was an ugly win, but sometimes the ugliest wins are the prettiest, and that's the kind of mentality that we're going to have for the rest of the year. He showed me a lot of guts yesterday, and I was thrilled to see it. And then when's the National League going to understand that you don't put up those 4 fingers to put Ohtani on? Mookie sees those 4 fingers, and it's like waving a red flag in front of a bull. And then he's going to take that bat, he's going to shove it up somebody's ass, and he's going to drive in a few runs, and then at the end of the day, you got yourself a W. Don't piss off Mookie. This whole Glasnow thing, this whole thing has been handled really poorly by the Dodgers. Their relentless dishonesty to the fans and to the media about what's been going on with him. And then the whole thing is just blowing up in their face. And to make matters worse, Glasnow takes off. And again, we don't know why, because again, the Dodgers sweep everything under the rug, thinking that nobody's going to ask questions, and it's just a PR nightmare. And I think it's insulting to us and to the media. It's just they just handled this whole thing wrong. And all this talk about Ohtani pitching, enough. Okay, I would rather see a bullpen postseason game featuring Bolzinger, Lance Lynn, Brandon League, Pedro Baez, and Chris Hatcher before I would want to see Ohtani pitching in the postseason. Don't risk it. Let it go. We're just going to have to go with what we got, and if we get our asses kicked, then that's just the way it goes. And finally, to the Padres. The Padres are pounding their chest, saying how that 3 games is going to be for the division, could be, and that we're going to be playing them. Oh, no, little brother. You're not playing. We're not playing you. Your SeaWorld Shamu asses are playing us, and don't you forget it. So fuck the Dodger Stadium parking lot. Fuck the Padres. Fuck Manny Machado. And for the love of God, fuck the Ghost Runner. See ya.
Look at that. Richie just got us demonetized here on YouTube, dropping some F-bombs. But, yeah, there's a lot there. There's definitely a lot there, as there usually is with Richie. Again, we are going to dive into the Glasnow thing. We got one more voicemail, and then we'll dive into the Glasnow further and kind of talk this next phase of what does the actual postseason starting rotation look like. So let's fire off the last one from our guy Calvin the Goat. See what Calvin has to say.
Hey Clint, Calvin here. YouTube name Calvin the Goat. We played pretty decently the series. It started off really horribly, but we ended strong. You know, got the series split. I'm not too mad about that. Obviously, the Glasnow news is really kind of the thing that kind of reverberates throughout the rest of the season. It's like, damn, did we make a mistake potentially getting him? But like, it's hard to be mad at Freeman for the move because he was so dominant. Like, he was the ace that we needed going into the season, and it really sucked that it didn't work out. But I'm super, super happy about Jack and Kopech and Edmund. Edmund looks like a guy who could be a playoff hero for us. I'm hoping he can get some really good clutch base hits in the postseason for us, and hopefully we can go on a run. I think we're gonna need Stone to actually win the whole thing. I don't really see it. I don't really see a world where we don't win it all if we don't have Stone. You know, just Jack and Yamamoto, I don't think that's gonna be enough. But yeah, I hope you have a good rest of your night, Clint, and have an awesome show. Talk to you later. Bye.
All right, guy, look at that. Good stuff there from Calvin. Yeah, Gavin Stone, man. I mean, I said it for a lot of the season. This team would have been lost without Gavin Stone, and to lose him at the most critical point in the season, this is very, very, very painful. But I will tease, and then we're going to talk about it right now. I will tease that I feel better now, especially after another Yamamoto start. And yeah, he didn't get out of the fourth. Was not as good as his last start, where the Cubs were more free swinging, and he had his slider and he had command of his splitter. But still, he's healthy. He's breathing. We'll say it again. He has all of his toes. His head isn't falling off, so you can feel pretty confident about having that guy and Jack Flaherty somewhere at the top of your rotation. I think you saw it.
Yep. Hey man, you said it. You opened the door, so that's, you know.
Well, Nick Ramos subscribed to the channel as well. Joined on YouTube members. Friend of the show. Thank you very much, Nick. And also, Diane Schroeder says, Mama Di, gonna make you drink. Bottoms up, Clint. $5 super chat. And to you, I say, cheers. Go ahead and say some words there, Kevin, while I'm having a beer.
Salute. That's a beer. Jesus, what are you?
That's not beer. It's not beer. I meant to have a. It's delicious.
Yeah, the double cast Jim Beam, huh?
It's very good, but that first one, it's unsettling.
Stings the nostrils.
That people are really going to enjoy those noises on the podcast.
Oh
side
yeah,
of,
it's always good.
Yeah.
Everybody loves that. Everybody loves smacking noises. And,
by the way, guys, this show's also on podcast. I know people tend to watch podcasts more now than listen, but if you guys can listen, if you want to listen, or if you could leave a rating, a review there, it goes a whole long way in and you know, people maybe sponsoring the show and doing other things. But all right, enough buried ass lead. Let's talk about this pitching situation. So the latest on Glasnow, again, we've already said it. We'll restate it here, but Dave Roberts kind of said that in so many words, maybe they left out some information, but he had an excused absence from the team. Obviously, understandably disappointed at how his season has turned out. But still, the whole saga, the whole thing, it was just weird from day one, where he's like, I want to pitch. They're not letting me pitch. but now there's some sort of issue where he needs to be shut down, and there's an elbow thing and all of that. I don't know. Is both sides fuck this up? I think that's the point I'm getting to.
Yeah, I think Dave definitely. What's frustrating about Dave is kind of the whiplash you get if you read like one comment to the next. He has no idea where he's going. Oh, but it's excused. Oh, Bruce tore his hamstring. No, it's just a grade 1 strain.
That's a great point.
The imaging was promising. Oh no, it's a sprained elbow. It's like, okay, well, like it's really hard to follow and it hurts. From Glasnow's perspective, I mean, I'm on his side. Like, if he was brought onto the team to be the ace, and he had been that thus far. He had the little stint with the back early, but that was like clearly just, like they were just giving him a rest using the All-Star break to give him a couple extra days rest. And he's to come so close to making the postseason, to then just be like, no, you're done.
Yeah.
I could never imagine how that feels, because I'm not a professional athlete, of course, but that has to be so disappointing and so frustrating. Especially, he didn't pitch much last year, coming off the I think it was a UCL repair. I don't think it was like a tear or anything.
He also had like an oblique thing, I think, happened in spring training, so didn't help him there.
No, and so to come back from last year, and then to basically go through this entire year, and then you're just right there, and then it just cuts short. Yeah, it sucks. So the folks that want to say, oh, well, you got to, face the music, you got to at least tell reporters. Sure, yeah, I guess. I don't know. That's tough, because like when you're hurt, the last thing you want to do is talk about it, and it's not like he was coming off. It's not like he was coming off an appearance and he didn't just pitch and then not talk to reporters.
Yeah,
he's been injured. So then just be like, oh yeah, hey, everybody come over and like, let's just talk about this really fast. Like I know Juan Toribio like approached him and he said, hey, I don't want to talk to you right now. I get it. I don't know. Like, that's me. It's not like, I don't think he necessarily owes anybody, reporters anything for that. Like after a start, sure. You should talk about your outing, but when you're injured, like, I don't think you need to be leave that up to the front office and the manager to kind of disclose what information needs to be disclosed. And that's where I think it lands a little bit more on Dave's head of he needs to be a little bit more upfront and honest about what's going on with his players. And
the like you said too, like literally the day before it was promising. The update is promising, and then it's like, oh, he's done for the year, and now he doesn't want to talk to you or whatever. Again, I cannot fault the guy even slightly. I would be quite pissed if my whole goal the entire season was to pitch in the postseason, and now that is taken away from you, and you're hurt again, and your whole career has been kind of marred by injury. You have this black cloud following you. It's a sad face rainy cloud following you of these injuries all the time. But still, I mean, I think they could have 1,000% done some things better. But that said, it doesn't matter. That's done. That's past. He is not an option for this team to be starting in this upcoming postseason. So who's left? You got Yoshinobu Yamamoto. You saw him tonight. You can like some of what you saw. You can hate some of what you saw, but he's there. Jack Flaherty, of course, the big-time trade deadline acquisition, has been mostly nails for the team since he was acquired from Detroit, but was a bit of a struggle in his last start. I'm kind of throwing that start away. Beyond that, it's Walker Buehler and the kitchen sink. Is it Landon Knack? Is he going to be that guy who maybe they go to a bullpen game and Knack is sort of the bulk guy? Is Justin Wrobleski going to be a part of this situation? Basically, what they need to know is they got 1 and 2 settled, but who can step up in those other games, those other 2 starts or slots or whatever. Hopefully you sweep that first series. It buys you more time. I will say I have some confidence in Walker Buehler. We'll talk about that in just a second. But, is it going to be Knack? Is he that fourth guy? Does Buehler take more steps back? I don't know. But that said, I feel really confident with Flaherty and with Yamamoto. 2 guys this team did not have last year in the postseason. These are grown men. These are some dogs right here. they've been missing that. They had it in 22. They had Tyler Anderson. He had that dog in him, as we know. He got very upset being taken out of that particular game that he was in. He wanted the ball there. These are two dudes who also want the baseball. This is not Clayton Kershaw with a shoulder falling off. This is not Lance Lynn. This is not Bobby Miller with the deer in the headlights kind of look. So I feel extremely confident about this. With what we have left, I would feel more confident we had Tyler Glasnow, but you don't. So I feel still pretty confident about what we have left with Yamamoto, Flaherty, Buehler, and then that aforementioned kitchen sink.
Yeah, so with the Glasnow injury, this whole season, people have asked with relative frequency, would you, how important is winning the division? And like I always said, it doesn't matter. Just get to the postseason healthy. I've changing my tune on that almost entirely. I actually think getting the first or second seed is incredibly important now because they're not going to get to the postseason healthy. Like no matter what, Kershaw's hurt, Glasnow's hurt. Like they could be more injured. Sure. Yes. But you've already kind of sustained as many injuries as you could sustain. Now, at this point, any further injury is pretty backbreaking. So now they need this. They need to get to the first or second seed because I think you kind of have to hide the pitching staff. Yes, I'm confident in Flaherty and Yamamoto. The issue with Yamamoto is he's only going to pitch they're going to continue to give him extra rest. So
yeah,
I just mapped it out. If he starts game 1 of the NLDS, he would be available to pitch at the earliest, because they've done, I think it was an 8-8 split on 5 days rest and on 6 days rest. The next time he'd be able to start again is game 5. If you start him in the wild card, all of a sudden now he's like your game 3 starter, and it's all screwed.
That's where
because
it goes
then
real bad. Yes.
Then it's just all out of whack. They need to be able to set up their pitching rotation if they're going to succeed in the postseason, in my opinion. I'm confident in Flaherty and Yamamoto. It's just because Yamamoto needs the extra rest. I think they need to be in the DS to start. When it comes to Walker Buehler, he's looked better the last 2 starts, I think. He's shown some stuff. Like he looked a lot more like Walker Buehler of old without being the Walker Buehler of old. I think he got somebody out on like a front door sweeper or something like that. That was just absolutely disgusting. Or sorry, it was a backdoor sweeper. I was like, okay, that's just gross. Like, I don't know. You can't hit that. And he was fired up about it. Awesome. Love to see that. I don't know if it's sustainable. I can believe in him all I want. I have no idea how it's going to translate into like postseason pitching.
Yeah, that's
so fair. That being said, I'm confident I would feel infinitely more better if Gavin Stone somehow comes out of this bullpen he's going to pitch, I think, this week.
It's this week, yeah.
Yeah, I think if he comes out of that feeling good, I'll feel a lot better, because if you're telling me our 3 starters are Yamamoto, Buehler, and Flaherty, that's really only 2.5 starters. So
yeah, with Stone, I don't know, man. You're talking about shoulder inflammation.
I know. You're
unless
just Kershaw from last year.
Yeah, that's one thing. It's one factor that you're relying on a guy who, again, is currently dealing with an injury and hoping that he can come back at the very end of the season. Sounds like Dustin May. Sounds like Tony Gonsolin all over again. By the way, Gonsolin, another one of those maybe options. Didn't have the best start over the weekend, but still, he's kind of one of those been there, done that sort of dudes. His elbow is attached these days, so I think he's more of a 2-3 inning guy than somebody who would be a true starter. But it's kind of just about adding every little piece you can in there. But Stone, I'm really worried about. He hasn't been out for exceptionally long. What are we at? 2 weeks right now? Less than 3 weeks.
Yeah, so he could build back up.
Yeah, and if he's somebody who's able to be at let's say 65, 70 pitches for a first round start as your game 4 guy, so you give him even more time, you're feeling a little bit better. I feel pretty set in now it being Flaherty, by the way, 1, 2, 3 Flaherty, Yamamoto, and Walker Buehler in a postseason series. And if it's Walker Buehler with the season on the line, I'm terrified for sure. But as I've been saying, dropping the hints all show, I feel better about Walker than I have at any point this season. I felt pretty good about him a start and a half ago, but I love what you see. I love the tenacity you get out of the dude when he gets a little fired up. And in the postseason, you're always fired up. So I do have a clip to throw here. We talked to MLB.com's Juan Toribio today, and I forgot to plug this in. So Kevin, you might not be able to hear this. I might not be able to hear this, but they will be able to hear this. So let's listen to Juan T about some Walker Buehler getting fired up for the postseason.
Walker Buehler, as it stands right now, would be the number 3 starter in a postseason series. Have you seen enough from him to make you feel confident in that choice?
Yes and no. I mean, it's been a weird season for Walker. Obviously, he's coming back from the second Tommy John. I mean, if you remember a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, he left the team. He just went to Florida, and nobody knew exactly where he was or what he was doing or why he went to Florida. And now he's kind of like the third best guy in the rotation. So things change fast, especially when your stars are dropping like flies, like they are with the Dodgers right now. 2 weeks ago, he was talking about, I hope I can get a chance in the playoffs. We have so many talented guys. And now they don't really have a choice. I mean, whether I think that he's the right choice or not, they just don't have anybody else. And I think the one thing that Walker does have going for him is, he's done this. He loves the playoffs. He loves being on that stage. He's a confident, cocky guy. And I think that's what you need in the playoffs. We kind of saw that yesterday. He's staring down hitters as he's striking them out. So I think in terms of attitude, he's definitely a pretty good choice. But he also has a 5.5 ERA this season. So it's just kind of, but this is the reality of where the Dodgers are right now. I would bet that Walker Buehler would kind of get up for a playoff game. So that's kind of what they have right now.
That's what I focused in on. Getting Walker Buehler, getting it up in a postseason game. If we're talking about somebody who's been there, done that, it is Walker effing Buehler. And what we saw, particularly in those final 3 innings in Atlanta, was Walker effing Buehler. That was butane, and he's learning to adapt. He's learning to adjust. And you mentioned the sweeper a little bit ago. I cannot remember. Is he traditionally a sweeper guy? Because I always thought he was a curve slider. And I was talking about this on a stream recently, and I might have been saying it more for Bobby Miller, but going to that sweeper just to get the hand position a little bit different and maybe make some other pitches work a little bit better. Hopefully they do that with not big game Bob, but to see it do paying a little bit of dividends early for Walker is impressive. Said,
it's something he's introduced fairly recently.
Mm-hmm.
He's traditionally not a sweeper. I think they said he showed 7 pitch types yesterday, which is absolutely crazy when you think about the guy that he was coming up, where it was just fastball, power, curve.
Yeah.
And now he's, sitting here with potentially 7 pitches. He's working a mix. He looks confident with the mix when he's striking dudes out. Got to limit the walks, obviously. But, I mean, there's something there. Like, he's showing you something.
Yeah. He's showing me enough to be that game 3 starter.
That's the thing is, like, I don't know if it's enough. Like, I could maybe live with it, but it's like one of those things where it's like last year, it's like,
tell me this.
Technically shown me enough to be a postseason starter. Technically,
answer me this: Would you take this Walker Buehler over last year's Lance Lynn in that game 3?
Yeah, because I love Walker Buehler. He's like one of my favorite players.
He's got a jersey. That guy's got a jersey, and that's all he needs. Go ahead.
I guess I'm afraid to get hurt because I don't want to buy in and just get crushed if he gets crushed.
That's fair.
So that's kind of where I'll land that plane.
So I had this as my big reveal, even though I talked about it in our Discord chat over the weekend. JR in the chat here says, bring up Ferris. Fuck it. DFA Kiermaier. Jackson Ferris, 20-year-old left-hander. Don't you dare laugh at me about this because it's smart. It's smart. I don't care what people think. I don't care if it's a stupid idea. It's a smart idea because a kid in his first full season with the Dodgers He shoved. He absolutely shoved. Did Jackson Ferris. 3.2 ERA, made it up to AA. 27 starts, 126 innings pitched. He is the third most innings pitched. If he would be in the Dodgers rotation, that would be the third most, I think. He looks good. I don't know if he's ready, but no other team would be ready for Jackson Ferris either. So that's my big reveal. Would they do it? No. Should they do it? Hell yeah. I've decided hell yeah. You've had some people, including you, wanting this team to call up Edgardo Henriquez, who's also not ready. You have a need for a starter, not another reliever that can throw 104. Make it Jackson.
Yeah, but the difference is Edgardo Enriquez needs to be on the 40-man roster at the end of this year. Jackson Ferris does not.
Yeah, but you also don't want to get beat in the postseason again because you don't have enough starting pitching. Ferris is above like somebody like Robleski for me on the depth chart. You're starting the clock on him early, but if it helps, play into a World Series win. Which again, that's being real, pie in the sky hopeful there. I don't know. I think he would be. It would shock the world.
Do you have any batters coming back that he could face really fast? Because he's 20 years old. He's in AA. He's the youngest guy to throw in AA this year, and he's lighting the world on fire. Don't get me wrong. He's super. It's like unbelievably exciting prospect. High 90s from the left side, power curve. I think he has a slider. He's got some horizontal movement in there somewhere. It's exciting, but it's also AA, and I'm glad he's succeeding in AA. But
hey,
let's keep him.
Clayton Kershaw was called up from AA. Then he had to get sent back down, but you know what? He was okay.
Sent back down. Yeah.
Okay. He didn't have.
They can't get sent back down to the playoffs. You just go home.
That's fair. I don't know, man. Hey, look, even my guy Jeff Snyder, Locked On Dodger, says he was thinking about Ferris the other day. He's thrown as many as 101 pitches in a game this year, so he's built up anyway. Listen, desperate times call for desperate measures. Do you want to win or do you want to go home early again? Now, is he the best option? Absolutely not. He's a option. He's a creative option, and I think Dodgers fans would love to see that over a bullpen game mixed in this postseason. That said, I wouldn't also
by Tony Gonsolin?
Bulk guy Tony. You need to see the same way you want to see some things out of Gavin Stone when he throws this week. We need to see some things out of Tony Gonsolin and his.
I'm more confident in Tony Smokes than I am Gavin Stone right now. If I'm being completely honest.
All right, which one is more wild? Jackson Ferris being called up, or Shohei Ohtani throwing the last pitch in the Dodgers for the Dodgers World Series this year?
Jackson Ferris being called up is way crazy. It's already trending in the direction. We all see it. We all see the train coming. We all see it coming. Oh, the
show train?
No, there's no way he can't pitch this year. Well, I wouldn't close the door on it entirely. Crack it up and not 100% shut down. And 2 weeks from now, hey, you know what? He's been building up. We'll just let him keep throwing.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah, it's not throw.
Chugga, choo choo.
Anyways, that's what we want to talk about. There's your pitching stuff. If we're putting a button on it, feel confident in the fact that this starting rotation is better than we've seen in the last couple of years, really. There was just Tyler Anderson in 22. They were tired as hell in 21. There was really nobody alive in 23. Feel good. You got two potential ace types with Flaherty and Yamamoto, and an ace of the past in Walker Buehler that could hopefully do some big things in a Game 3 start or all around, the rotation in the postseason, where however things line up, because you don't get to line up your postseason rotation perfectly each and every time, especially if it's that wild card.
I know. Yep. Richard Ford is $4.99. When your ability to throw strikes isn't there, then you need to get mentally tough. Bobby gets butthurt too easy. Shut him down if he tanks again. I don't think they have the option to shut him down. I think you got to ride Bobby Miller until the season ends.
That's a $5 super chat, by the way.
It is.
Yeah,
and
thank
it's
you,
about
Diane.
Bobby Miller, and it also makes me want to drink. So.
Oh, it was Bobby Miller, so I did a double shot on that one. Double chug. Just like Mom used to make.
Yep.
If we're talking bullpen games real quick, and thank you, Richie, for the $5 super chat. Much appreciated, my friend. for talking bullpen games again for a second, I'm not super opposed to a bullpen game just because we've seen it work.
Either.
I think it worked for the Rangers last year. They
worked for the Dodgers in the past.
It's worked for the Dodgers in the past, and you get enough. You have a Wrobleski, you have Tony Gonsolin potentially. They have some bulk innings. You just need a couple, like 4-inning dudes.
Couple innings.
Maybe Bobby Miller, and that's what I wanted to get to. I think now, even though Bobby's getting one more start, I think after that, it's stupid to keep him starting. Like, you could keep him starting. I guess it doesn't hurt either way to keep him built up. But, like, my argument is now just move him to that 1 or 2 inning bullpen role right the F now. Cut your losses on the season. Get him prepared for the role he's going to play if he's going to have a role on this pitching staff in October.
Yep. No, I agree. And I bullpen games in the postseason are totally fine. There's a lot of pressure on them because you kind of don't want to lose that game. But with the way that the postseason kind of lines up, like you could, like if the Dodgers were potentially going to wrap it up game 4, even if they lose that game, they wouldn't play again for another 2 days. So you could then rest the bullpen again anyway. Like a bullpen game 4 in the NLDS is fine because you either win or you lose and go to a game 5, and that's 2 days away. So you could kind of rest some arms. I agree. I think if Bobby Miller, I think his best role right now is to give him 2 innings, 1-2 innings, kind of a Michael Grove role. My only concern is I don't know how he'd handle it. He doesn't handle,
and that's why I want it happening now.
I know he hasn't handled runners getting on base. He doesn't handle errors well. He doesn't handle a lot well. If he's all of a sudden just Dave tells him, hey man, yeah, we're gonna move you to the bullpen. I don't like. He might just like. It might be a situation where it's similar to a Michael Grove, where it's like, hey, we got to just send him down just to reset his brain, like just because he needs to go work on some stuff. Like it's gonna be like that the option he had earlier in the year. So
the problem with that
that's what concerns me about potentially moving to the bullpens. I don't know how he'd handle it.
The problem with that is we're out of minor league season, so if he goes down, there's basically getting shut down. So anyways, I also wanted to bring that up. I think right now is the time. One more start, and then start transitioning Bobby Miller if you want anything out of him. Get him used to that role, or really get eyes on whether or not he can play that role. Right. We know very little about Tony Gonsolin's situation. I still take Tony Gonsolin over Bobby Miller on a roster right now.
Yes.
Quickly, since we are well past an hour of a show, appreciate you guys hanging out so far. If you've enjoyed anything, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. Trying to get to like 7,500 likes or follows or whatever it is, subscribers. We'd appreciate it if you would be one of those people if you're not already. But let's look ahead to this series with the Marlins, and every time this team goes to Miami, it's always a good time. We know this is Miami's World Series, of course, with the Dodgers coming into town, but the team controls its own destiny. 9-game is the magic number right now, and they have a 9-game magic number. You got to beat a really bad team is the point I'm getting to. You have to beat a Miami Marlins team that somehow got even worse. Traded away Tanner Scott. Traded away. I want to say Didi Gregorius, but that's not his name.
It's basically Jazz Chisholm.
Jazz Chisholm there. But Miller starts Tuesday. Landon Knack starts Wednesday, and then it's Jack Flaherty with his rebound start on Thursday. So, you have any takeaways? Anything you're looking for in this series before we get out of here?
You got to sweep them. You like I said, it's not about getting the postseason healthy. They need to be the 1 or the 2 seed now. It's not.
That's a good point.
It's not really an option.
It's not debatable.
So, thankfully, it's a very soft schedule. We play the Marlins, and then I forget who we play after that, but it's not a good team. And then we play the Padres, and then we play the Rockies, and then we play the Rockies twice. Oh no, it's the Marlins and the Rockies and the Padres and the Rockies. Yeah. So we're playing. We have 3 of the last 4 series are against the worst teams in baseball. So it's a soft schedule, but we got to win these games. That's the biggest takeaway. There's no excuses. Shohei can get 50-50, in Coors. I don't care. There's no excuse. It's got to win the game. That might be the other part is that you got to get out of that's the other thing that would be nice because we end the season on this really weird.
I hate it.
Like the last series of the season is just a 3-game series in Coors for no reason. And it would be nice to have the 1 or the 2 seed locked up so that you don't have to throw any of the really important pitchers in that series. Because the last thing we need is Flaherty to like overthrow his slider and then his shoulder's just gone. So that's just not something that needs to happen.
That needs to be a series where they call up like Robleski and let hit straight up eat.
You can call him up for that series.
No, but now you're starting the clock on him.
That's,
Yeah, just you guys control your own destiny. You got to take advantage of it and make sure that series, and I said this to end Dodgers territory earlier, make sure that series doesn't mean anything, so you don't need to take any of your important pitchers. The hitters can go there, do whatever the hell they want. By the way, congrats. Rockies beat the Diamondbacks today. Thank you for reminding us in the chat. Cool. Walk-off. How about them show rocks? But, guys, that's about it. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. If you listened on the podcast side, thank you guys for the questions, interaction here on the show. Thank you so much for the super chats. That is something that really, really does help out the channel, and it helps out my liver, apparently, because we do $5 shots for some reason. We got to thank the channel members here. You guys are freaking awesome. The supporters on Patreon, you guys are awesome. You guys really do help make this show a thing. I will remind folks once again, if you're looking for a different way to support me, the show, all that kind of stuff, we have Patreon set up, we have YouTube members set up. $5 a month. You could also join us on Discord. You unlock access to the Discord server by doing that. $5 a month. Sign up with us. It'd be useful maybe in the postseason, so we can complain about a lot of things or celebrate all together. Shout out to our moderators, as always, doing a kick-ass job here in the chat. Love this chat. You guys rock. You guys kick ass. All Dodgers is presented by Bet Online. That guy right there is producer Kevin at Skinner7 Kevin on X. Give him a follow. I'm Real FRG on the Twitter, on the Instagram. Give me a follow if you want. All those links are in the description below. And that's about it. Okay, thanks. Bye.